Hi, my name is Kristen Spencer, and this is an overview of my instructional design for Info 250 in the spring of 2018. My needs assessment and instructional goals relate to library employees who may not be specializing in children's services. There are a lot of information available on the internet and various trainings about the process of literacy development and the application of literacy. However, there's no combination of the two specifically for library employees like paraprofessionals who do not specifically work with children. However, these learners are going to be interacting with patrons who have questions about literacy. They want to know where their child falls in the spectrum. They want to understand the behaviors their child is displaying, and they want help finding the necessary tools that the library offers, and they want their kids to be reading the correct books. The library staff needs an instruction on how to correctly and confidently answer these questions and have a baseline understanding of the process of literacy development in children, what the library offers, and able to assist parents with their child's literacy development. We want staff members to feel confident in directing patrons to the correct location in the library. We don't want staff members to have to pass off the patrons to more people than necessary. If the frontline staff can be the first one to answer their behavior and help, then that is perfect. The learners for this class will be library employees, so they're already going to be confident in how the library functions, and they're going to have some understanding that children go through a developmental process when they're becoming literate. They're going to recognize that we offer in libraries various services and materials for literacy, from story times and book clubs for middle schoolers, and picture books, board books, easy readers, chapter books. The various materials that we offer reflect the steps of literacy. These are going to be professionals who are going to be at work and have other duties, so they're likely going to only be able to devote a few hours at a time to this class, and therefore most of the class learning itself needs to take place within the class and not in their outside time. The outcomes of this training relate to how the staff can relate to the customers and how they can provide the best customer service possible. We want them to be able to feel that they can accurately estimate the phase of literacy development. We want them to be able to talk about literacy measures like the Lexile levels and A to Z readers. We want them to be able to discuss the benefits and limitations of those literacy measures, because patrons will hear different things from different teachers as their students go through school. So the library needs to be informed but neutral and have the information that patrons are seeking. So if you'd like more details on what the instructional strategies and the layout of the class will be, please see this document. One important aspect of this class is that it's going to be very heavy on learner participation. The goal of this class is to make the library staff feel confident when they're interacting with patrons. And so we'll do a lot of role playing and discussions, because it's hard to do a reading or write a paper and then apply that to an in-person interaction. This class is going to take place face-to-face with a bit of information happening outside of class time, but most everything is going to come from an in-person interaction. There is going to be some elements about testing and assessment. One of the things that's going to be important to motivate learners, and that's going to help provide evaluation, is that this is going to be a required class for library staff members if they want to receive an above average annual review. It's not the only thing they have to do to get an above average, but if they do want that, then this class will be a requirement. That means that all the marketing for this class will be internal, and that managers will be able to use their discretion to decide whether they would like to require all paraprofessional staff and staff that don't work with children to take this instruction, or whether they offer it as an option to those seeking the requirements to get an above average review. I already mentioned that we plan on having this class be primarily in person, and it's going to be in a public library setting, and therefore there's going to be some limitations on how the class can be delivered. We will be limited to the technology and the room and space requirements that public libraries have to offer. In a perfect world, we would have a projector or a Mondo pad or a touch screen of some sort so that we can display learning objects, graphics, and other information and play videos. So it'd be great if it had the opportunity to play sound as well. In an ideal world, it would be seamless to transition between the various media formats so that the class doesn't get disrupted by transitioning between different formats. I do plan to use LibGuides to be a learning management system because it's easy to use, it's customizable, and it's going to be great to save that LibGuide to be available to library staff members after the class is over as a reference point, someplace they can go to when they need to find just a tidbit of information that they don't remember. I plan to evaluate this class formatively and summatively in a few different ways. Formative evaluation occurring during class is going to be primarily through informal interviews with students and observation and understanding that when the students ask questions, it's indicative that the instructional design is weak in that area and needs to be propped up so that students don't have to seek a ton of clarification on that particular subject matter. Immediately after the class, students will do an anonymous online survey to provide written evaluation. Later, we'll do a follow-up survey 6 weeks after, so they've had a chance to practice the skills that they've learned in class. And then another no, that's not quite right. Another couple weeks, so 3 months after the class is completed. Oh, it is right. 12 weeks, yep. We would do informal shadowing with the library staff to witness any interactions between staff and patron that apply the material. During this phase, they'll also be asked informally to provide any information, any evaluation of the course. One of the limitations of an in-person interview is that people are often hesitant to provide constructive criticism for fear of hurting anybody's feelings. So it'll be taken with a grain of salt that those in-person interviews may not give us enough thorough information and that we have to combine that information with the written evaluation. Since it's anonymous, people may be more honest. Hopefully the goals, the learning objectives of this instructional design will be met with the testing, the evaluation, the learning objects, and it'll create library staff members that feel confident speaking to patrons about literacy.